Welcome to Rokiškis, home of Lithuanian cheese and pretty manor houses. You will find Rokiškis district in the far northeast corner of Lithuania, on the border to Latvia. Rokiškis district municipality is more than 2 hours away from the capital Vilnius, and the population of Rokiškis reaches around 28,000. Rokiškis district is not small. Actually, it is one of the largest districts in the country, but scarcely populated, as it is usual near the borders. There are a few great places for travelers to visit here, such as Sartai Regional Park, Ilzenbergas Manor, Salos Manor, and the Grand Rokiškis Manor in the city. But first, let me tell you more about Rokiškis city, the center of the district. Rokiškis is mostly known to Lithuanians as the home of one of the largest milk processing companies in the Baltics, and their produce, especially cheese, can be found in every supermarket here. But Rokiškis has a long history as well. It is more than 500 years old and has a spacious main old town square, well, actually a long rectangle. The current old town was built in the 19th century, when the manor was owned by Count Ilzenbergas, who made a lot of input for city's development. If you walk at least a little bit in Rokiškis, you would notice that there is something different here than other towns. First, the old center is very distinct and far away from the modern center where the supermarkets, companies and government are located. Second, the old city center is mostly surrounded with traditional wood one-family homes. And third, lots of them have very interesting window shutters. There is a lovely tradition in Rokiškis. Every year, various artists gather to paint window shutters, and now numerous houses of Rokiškis are beautifully decorated. Another nice place to have a look at is the city's neo-Gothic church, protruding high above the other buildings, with a 56 meters tall tower. I was lucky during my visit to find the church during an international organ music festival. Straight from the church, there is a kilometer-long alley leading through the main square and right through the middle between the ponds to Rokiškis Manor house. Of course, this was designed by the counts themselves. Rokiškis Manor house was built in 1801 in classical style by Ilzenbergas family. Later, in the middle of the century, the heiress of Ilzenbergas married into a wealthy Polish family, Przezdzieski, to whom the manor belonged later. In the beginning of the 20th century, the house was expanded and some neo-Baroque elements were added too. These days, the manor is a museum and probably the best place to visit in Rokiškis district. The interiors of the manor are well preserved, and they even look very different from all the manors I have seen in Lithuania before. There is wood everywhere and a giant fireplace in the middle of the main hall. And dining room. The most preserved room has its own history. It is all furnished in Polish Zakopane style, which is mostly not found anywhere else in Lithuania. But the story behind all this is that when the owners had to leave the country because of the Second World War, servants took and hid away from the Soviets most of the furniture, decor and other items. Later, when the museum was established, the people brought back things to the manor. Luckily, the old butler was still alive and helped to put everything back into their places, as we were before the war. The museum also has a collection of the manor ladies' dresses and other items preserved by the maids. The count's office has a passage to the basement, where there is a large hall with a collection of hunting trophies. Beside that, the museum has a local history section upstairs, as well as a few exhibition halls. Outside, there also is a small village of traditional Lithuanian farmer houses, with a very interesting old-style swing in the yard, which is very fun for the kids. And the same kind of swing was used by the kids from the manor. Behind them, there is a deer enclosure too. Overall, the manor's park is a lovely place to explore and spend some time there as well. There is quite a different manor house experience right at the border to Latvia. Ilzenbergas Manor house is situated at the lakeside, which divides the two countries. Ilzenbergas today is a fully restored manor, probably the only one in Lithuania. This means that the manor is fully functioning as it used to. Ilzenbergas is not just a fancy house and park. It has a whole farm and industry surrounding it, from cow and chicken farms to apple orchards and the largest vineyard in Lithuania. Ilzenbergas Manor is a well-functioning business which follows natural farming methods, and where produce can be found in many shops around the country. The manor grounds are accessible to visitors, which includes a large, beautiful park and a glimpse of the farm. But if you are interested to see how things work up close or the indoors of the manor, you need to book an excursion, which happens at specific times only. Unfortunately, I missed the last time slot for the excursions when I arrived to the manor house. Ilzenbergas Manor was established sometime in the 16th century and belonged to many different German families throughout the centuries. The current house was built in the 19th century in classical style, and fortunately it didn't change much since. Not far from the manor there is a large oak tree which is supposed to be around 500 years old, probably as old as the manor's history. Behind the main house there also is a restaurant good for a coffee during the day and offering degustation dinners in the evening. Kids definitely can have fun in this park. There is a large playground with interesting activities, some still related to farming, such as an old harvester in the middle of the playground and a cornfield labyrinth. My son was very excited about excavators too. Further by the lake there are some romantic paths, beautiful sculptures and a small lovely island which just invites to relax there. The edge of the island also marks the border to Latvia. In general, Ilzenbergas felt like a lovely place to spend some time, but I expected maybe something more, in a way that for visitors to see a little bit of what's actually going on in the farm, or at least some more information, as there is an entrance fee just for entering the park. Next we go to the third manor house during this trip, but on the way I stop at one funny place in Pandelis. There is a small town park there, with a tiny hill with a copy of Gediminas Castle in Vilnius. Well, it looks quite similar. So the last manor house in my trip is situated in Salos, a town in an island in a lake, which is just called Salos, islands in English. Salos Manor is yet again different from the other two we saw today. This one is more representing the house Ro, a survivor of the Soviet times. Salos Manor House was built in early 19th century in classical style and belonged to the same Tyzenhausen, later Przedzecki family like in Rokiškis. The manor was exquisite and grand, but all that was stripped when Lithuania was occupied by the Soviets. They had a lot of use of the building. Salos Manor was used as a hospital, later as schools, which changed every few decades. Most of the original interiors were gone, but at least the grand facade was not affected. Nowadays the house is in an ongoing renovation, but it's open for visitors. In some rooms, original artwork was found under the layers of paint. The manor house has some exhibitions and event halls, as well as rooms for rent, some in better condition, some in more like a school camp style. There is a restaurant situated in the old rooms and also in the basement. One thing you wouldn't expect to find in a centuries-old basement is a robot waiter serving the food. Outside there is a small park as well as an alpacas farm situated in between centuries-old trees. Now, after all this, there is one more spot worth seeing in Rokiškis district, and that is Sartai Regional Park. Sartai is the fourth largest lake in Lithuania, and it has an interesting shape, almost like a tree, stretching its branches to all sides. This makes quite a beautiful landscape. There are a few cognitive trails to see the nature and a large overlook tower. Sartai Overlook Tower looked quite scary to climb, but the views from the top were very rewarding, even on a foggy morning after a rainy night. The top deck is at 33 meters height, way above the trees, and we can see a lot of the lake's landscape. Sartai Lake is particularly famous for one special activity: winter horse race. It is a 200-year-old tradition where horses with carts race on the icy, very long lake. Unfortunately, in recent years, the weather in Lithuania became quite unstable, and the lake doesn't always freeze. So the race is moved to a nearby hippodrome in Dusetos town, Zarasai district. So I will tell more about this race and the rest of Sartai Regional Park, of which a large part is Zarasai district, in a different video. For now, Rokiškis district was quite fun to visit. I really enjoyed seeing the various manor houses, which were so different from each other. But the one in Rokiškis definitely left the biggest impression. The town itself and lovely cafes were really nice to visit. I think that Rokiškis is a good place for a trip to the northern part of Lithuania if you like manor houses. And it is relatively close to the second largest city in Latvia, Daugavpils. So, see you in Rokiškis and thanks for watching!